So here we are. You notice from the title of the video that I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here, but I'm going to make a quick little video here talking some common sense, just using some rational thinking about how power cords are wrapped and whether we're damaging a polisher or not. And you know, certainly this wrapping the cord has become, you know, detailer lore that this ruins the polisher and that you're automatically, you know, disqualified from being a quality human being, right? So my natural tendency is to want to, like, I made the title of this video a little bit more PC than I wanted to. I wanted to give you the Maddie look, you know, the stern, you know, you're an idiot look. But you know, most people that are freaking out about the power cords being wrapped too tight are right. I mean, if you yank on it and pull this, you know, really, really tight, you know. So here's a 21, my 21 Mark II, which is basically brand new. I think I've used this once. I never had a 21 Mark II. I just bought this here recently, maybe in the last few months. But you'll notice, you know, the power cord is wrapped, right? So this is I call this the Mike Phillips wrap technique. I learned this at Auto Geek Detail Training, probably would have been like 2009, I think is when I went to it. So what, 9 years ago. And so this technique for wrapping power cords has garnered a lot of controversy in the very dramatic detailing community, right? So I tend not to get hung up on all this drama other than just saying no, you know, just use some common sense. So let's talk about, you know, wrapping a power cord. Now, keep in mind, you know, RUPES's stance on this is don't do this. Right? Don't wrap it. And I think part of the reason for that is don't wrap it like this because people don't, you know, how are they going to dictate? How are they going to say only wrap it, you know, to a certain you know, tightness or angle, right? And so we have this, you know, we have this boot, right, on the back to help protect the power cord, right? And then if you've ever had or taken one of these apart, you know, there's a couple of screws here. You can take the back part out. There's a strap inside of here that torques and holds, you know, the power cord in place, right? So the boot is one, you know, sort of attached to the power cord. The power cord then comes inside, and you know, I should take this apart for the video, but there's a strap here that's torqued down, and then the leads go and screw into place, right, for the trigger. So this part here on the power cord would be the failure point, right, where the boot meets the end of the power cord. And so what a lot of people have a tendency to do is take this, pull on it, and pull it really tight, right? So that way we get a nice, really taut, straight line, right? And so that's where you start to develop issues in that you'll start breaking down the, you know, the strands, or breaking down the, I guess it would be the tensile strength of the wire, right? So when I pull it and torque it like that, it looks really nice. But the issue is I'm pulling it too tightly, right? And so if I keep doing that over and over and over and over, and then if I pull it and hold it there for long periods of time, you know, again, if you're a professional and you're constantly every single day pulling it, tightening it, you're gonna break it, right? Now, how many times are you gonna have to do that? You know, 50, you know? You know, it's going to take you, now if you're doing that every single day, in 50 days, you're going to need a new power cord, right? So you're going to be blowing through power cords all the time. Now, I would say, for those of you who act like it's the end of the world if you wrap the polisher that way, I mean, it's like a $10 part, so you can buy a new power cord pretty quickly, buy a few of them if you really wanted to wrap it tightly like that. So what I do is I take the thing and I pull it like this, right? So there's still a bend. Now, I mean, this isn't going to cause any problems, again, using common sense. I pull it, I take my fingers, and then I take a wrap, right? And so now, or generally what I'll do is, I'm trying to do this on camera here backwards, but I'll pull it, I have a little bit of a loop here, a little slack, and I'll do one wrap, and then I'll start my, and I'm doing this backwards. How do I normally do this? So I've got some slack, which takes a little bit of the prettiness of it away, and then I start wrapping it, right? So I've got this slack, right? And so now I can take and I can do my pretty wrap on the rest of the machine. And if you start arguing that this is going to damage the power cord, then come on. Again, I think a little common sense goes a long way in this game. All right, so we've got this. A lot of times I'll pull it to make sure that I didn't pull too tightly on it. Again, I'm not overly concerned about this because it's a $10 part. It's a real easy thing to replace. And then I take a little bit left over and I do a double just to hold it in place, pull it down, and then I got a nice clean wrap, right? And then I can take it and put it on my fancy stand, and then I can post pictures on Instagram, and people can yell about how I'm ruining my machine, right? So let's take a look at that, and how that's wrapped. So from a Instagram photo, so say from here, you're like, oh my gosh, you're ruining your machine, you're gonna break the power cord. Well, no, there's slack, right? So, you look at this and there's there's room for it to move. And so now I have a nice clean wrap. I don't have to worry about where to put my power cord. Yes, RUPES USA, RUPES Italy is telling you, don't wrap your machine this way, because again, there's no way for them to tell you that this is okay and this is not, when you're really torquing it. And you can usually tell if you took it and it was pulled like this, you're going to develop problems, right? You're going to eventually have issues with it. So, look at the difference between that and this. Again, simple common sense. They could do a thicker, heavier power cord, but then you would lose some of the, I actually wrapped this a little bit short, but you can see what's happening here from me pulling on it. But you can see, why why they would make a more pliable, not so heavy-duty power cord. Again, let me rephrase that. These are pretty darn heavy-duty power cords, but again, the general idea here is to keep these things so that you maintain them so they last a long time, but don't beat the crap out of them, right? And so they give you a power cord that that makes sense. And so again, when people get all bent out of shape and don't use reason. So same thing on the Duetto now. The Duetto, I've got this one wrapped a little tighter than I normally do. But again, I'm not too worried about it. So let's pull this off and let's redo our Duetto, since this is probably a little bit tighter. See, I have some slack, but not as much as I normally do. Again, I don't think, this machine is however old Duettos are, that's how old this Duetto is, right? And so this one has a natural tendency to pull downward, probably because I've had it wrapped forever. I'll just hold it against the body, do a couple of wraps. Now this is the goofy Auto Geek long power cord version, which I don't really particularly like. And this power cord is not as nice as the power cords that come on the other machines. I'm tempted to order a new power cord for this and get the stock version. I'd rather just use an extension cord. You can even hear the squeakiness of this versus the other. Yeah. See, this long power cord needs to be, this is when I usually do that, and then I forget to leave my slack. I have a tendency to need to wrap this around the shroud several times because of how long this is. And so, you may agree or disagree with how this is being done. Honestly, again, now this comes from probably a little bit different place than most professionals that you guys follow. right? So a professional is going to be wrapping their machines or coiling up their machines because they're using them every day. I don't use mine every day. Mine sit on the rack a whole heck of a lot more than they get used. And so I'm willing to do this step to wrap these so that I don't have to look at power cords that are all over the place. Yeah, I don't like how long that is. So let's do it like I had it. I'll just do this. See if I can get it in there. Yeah, we'll just leave that wrapped once like that. It'll be fine. So there's, you know, again, I've got slack on the end here. Yes, it's pulling a little bit, but again, not going to damage the power cord. I mean, if the power cord damaged that easily, we probably would be throwing the machine away. Again, I'm gonna do this week. I'm gonna order a new power cord for my Duetto. I don't like that. Long power cord doesn't wrap up right, and it's just a mess. Again, I'd rather use an extension cord. So you know, the stance on a power cord and not wrapping it too tightly is the same stance that you'd have with a washer mod, right? And spacing the backing plate off of the shroud. You know, there's a reason why they keep the shroud touching the backing plate, and it's so the tool, as you remove it from the paint, you know, it doesn't spin freely, and I don't know if that protects the internals of the machine. It's kind of like modifying my car. You know, I'm willing to take that risk because I don't want the thing stalling. And you know, some of it's a little bit of technique. I mean, you could reduce pressure, but I don't want to reduce pressure. I just want to keep pushing on the paint, you know, when in an area that I'm trying to polish out. And so I decided to modify the machine, and I take that at my own risk. Right? If the machine blows up, it's, you know, my fault. If the power cord breaks because I'm wrapping it this way, they've told me not to, then that's on me. You know, and so if you're concerned about that, just like, you know, if you're concerned about your BMW warranty and you don't want to fight the dealer when you're, you know, if your motor blows up and you tuned the car, ran a piggyback on it, then don't do it. You know, I've taken that risk before, and it's a calculated risk, and hopefully you're doing a good job. Like, for instance, using a proper washer, you're threading the bolt all the way in. You're, you know, making a proper connection with the, you know, the washer and the backing plate. Same thing with our wrapping of the power cord. We're making a choice here to wrap it this way, and I mean, shoot, when they ship in the box, there's a bend to them. So when people take things so literally, I think you might be making a mistake. So I might suggest, maybe you don't like the way this looks. I do. I think it looks clean. It's a nice way. What else am I going to do with this darn power cord? I got to put it somewhere. So that's the way I prefer to wrap mine. And, you know, machines tend to look pretty good when you do it that way. Some of these are, you know, again, however many years, 2013, my 21 is, you know, 5 years old and has hundreds and hundreds of hours on it. I've wrapped it probably, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and the power cord's fine. It's the original power cord on it. So anyway, I thought I'd make a video addressing that. And I don't want to fight people. It's not my intent to cause a big stink, but the wrapping of these power cords is not ruining the machines. I mean, use a little common sense in life is my general philosophy, right? We use a little common sense, and, you know, we end up with machines that aren't going to explode because I, you know, wrap the power cord that way. So anyway, thanks for watching. I thought I'd address that, especially for you young guys that are watching what I'm saying. You pros don't listen to me anyway, so do whatever you want. This is the way I do it. Thanks for watching. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.